Oh, hey, what do you know, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Roll for Dex podcast. As always, my name is Connor.
My name is Ian.
My name is Matt.
Oh shit, Matt! I was going to introduce you because you haven't been here for 3 weeks.
I apologize.
Hey, let him cook.
My
let him
apologies.
cook.
Dang, just comes in here, barging back in, man.
My bad.
Gotta reclaim that territory.
Matt's here.
My apologies. I'm here. Hello. Thank you guys for having me back.
For the first time ever, we have Josh here as well. Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Welcome. We have a lot to get into today, so let's pounce right into it. All right. Welcome back to the Roll for Dex podcast. Of course, my name is Connor.
My name is Ian, and alongside us today, as Connor just beautifully introduced a second ago, we have Matt and Josh joining us today, and we're talking once again about all things gaming, Star Wars, whatever we feel like talking about.
Before we get into any of the negatives that I have about Star Wars for today, there's quite a bit, unfortunately. There is one positive, and I was right. I've been saying it for multiple episodes since really the beginning of the podcast at this point.
Yeah, I think since episode 1 you've been saying this.
Mandalorian Season 4 is officially being turned into a movie, and production is starting this year in 2024. Called it, bank it, cash the check, let's go, I'm here. But on to the negative. Unfortunately, we also got announced the new director for the trilogies. Have you guys seen her?
No.
I will let you just go on a whirlwind with this one, just because I know where this is going, but I feel like this is going to be a mayhem for Matt and Josh.
This is going to be fantastic. So you guys are watching the screen. Those listening will be able to listen to this clip of the new director of the new trilogy of Star Wars films.
Well, and what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
So there was no audio there, but I did read it, and that's crazy.
What do you mean there was no audio?
He is stream muted, but
that's
there you
go.
go.
All right, never mind. Carry on.
I did as well. I figured
I
that out.
I did read it.
Wow,
I figured that
that's
out
crazy.
midway through.
You guys are on point there.
My apologies.
But, you're good. But so basically, she is claiming that it's time to have a female lead carry Star Wars. But I guess
Wasn't that right?
I guess she didn't remember Felicity Jones in Rogue One, or Rosario Dawson in Ahsoka, or Daisy Ridley playing Rey in the last trilogy that was just made that was trash, but you know, it's there.
Fisher when it started, or
like to say we need a female lead to carry us in Star Wars. I think there's been quite a bit of that so far, and none of it has really worked. I mean, Ahsoka's great. Ahsoka was a great show. I'm so glad they finally brought her into live action and everything like that. But, I mean, they've destroyed everything. Like, honestly, when Mark Hamill himself, Captain Star Wars, he helped create the universe that we all know and love. The original, the badass Luke Skywalker. When he goes on a thing like this.
Bravo for them to make Rey a orphan from the desert who discovers inner powers, inherits a robot with important information that leads to the destruction of the Death Star. It's fresh because it's a woman.
I think one of the
Makes a
like
point.
what are we doing? Like we're just doing the same story with Rey. I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to even call it that, the 3 movies that they gave us were so broken and disjointed as a whole that I hate speaking about them. And the fact that she's getting a whole new trilogy where they could do her justice. I have hopes. I have hopes that maybe they'll do Rey's character justice and make her into something other than the same thing that Luke Skywalker was for some reason. I don't know why we needed another Luke Skywalker. We already had Luke Skywalker and they turned him into a bitch. Like, this guy is quite literally, if you read into more than just the movies, he is quite literally one of the most powerful Jedi to ever exist. Easily within the top 3. Yeah, he's insane. You get a little glimpse of it in Mandalorian when he comes in and he's using a dark side, like, crushing move on the Dark Troopers. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg on some of the stuff that he ends up doing in the extended universe. Like, he is quite literally so badass. And for them to take everything and just... He gets the lightsaber, throws it behind him. He's like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. I don't think he'd ever do that, but okay. I see you. Sure.
I feel like movies do that quite often, though, where they take people who are quite, overpowered of a sort, and they just tend to make them shit, or like not as good as what they are. And whether it's a comic book or like a normal book, whatever it is from, they just tend to do that quite often. Movies tend to underplay certain people's powers and how they are portrayed in their universe.
I mean, that's totally fair. I completely agree. There are several instances of that happening. I just, as a Star Wars lover, I wish it didn't happen to one of my most beloved characters. But, Disney, since obtaining Star Wars, has been on this very slippery slope of producing flop after flop after flop. They're losing billions of dollars. Like, you got handed a franchise that was one of the biggest franchises ever, and you are fucking it up.
Well, let's call it what it is, just because I don't think it's Lucasfilms for all of the shit that I give.
Well, isn't Kathleen Kennedy? Kathleen Kennedy is a moron.
She is a moron with a very impressive resume. Regardless, I give Kathleen Kennedy a lot of shit, and I do. I think the issue at hand is not necessarily Lucasfilm. I think the issue is Disney, because we're seeing it with the Disney original movies. We're seeing it with Marvel.
I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair.
It's not just it's a Star Wars problem, sure, right? Because up until recently, they haven't had the pieces or people in place to make the quality content. But I think the larger issue is Disney as a whole. They're trying.
Yeah.
Walt Disney was an asshole. And now, 100 years later, they're trying to reinvent themselves and the wheel and kind of do the inverse. I don't know.
Did they need to? I think they had enough. I realistically think they had enough money to keep being dicks.
Oh, sure.
People kept paying them. So, people kept watching those movies, right?
And being dicks or whatever, yes, they still were putting out good content. But once they did that 180, once they went on this kind of reform path, you've noticed flop after flop after flop across Star Wars, Marvel, Disney.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they've kind of spread themselves too thin on where their resources are going to, because not only are they doing Marvel and Star Wars, which are two massive franchises, they're doing. Recently, they've started doing Percy Jackson. That's a series, that one I love.
I've actually loved that show so far.
I have not started watching it, but I know
I'm gonna
they've
be
started
honest.
that.
You read the books, right?
Yes, I've read every book of
Which is
Percy
impressive that you can read.
Jackson. I got read it in elementary school. I got read it, and then I started to read it afterwards.
I love that. But yes, so it is a lot more like the books. There are things that they've
Then
changed.
the movies.
The movies were trash.
Yes, 100% agree.
This is so much better in
That's
some
good.
aspects. I wish there were some different character choices. I wish that there wasn't, again, a little bit of a woke agenda being pushed, but
It's
they
Disney.
they did change some things so far. They
Well-
aren't horrible changes, but
Well, the nice part also at the end of the day for that, I feel like, is you can hang your hat on the fact that the changes that have been made, and I haven't watched the show. I haven't read the books. I'm not a Percy Jackson guy. I love Greek mythology though, which is kind of funny that I'm not a Percy Jackson guy.
Yeah.
crazy.
But from what I've heard, the changes that they have made for the TV show, if you want to call it a TV show at only 8 episodes, have been made by the writer of the books. So
Yeah.
on some level, you can kind of count your losses there. I don't know.
I-
Where
I
like
do-
go ahead. Sorry, Josh.
I appreciate that they brought in the writer of the books to get the cast and to have basically the creative freedom that he had with the books to have with the show as well. And I appreciate that, but I think overall they're just kind of spread too thin within their resources that they have. And they're doing a lot more shows now than they were initially back when Marvel was a huge thing and Star Wars was a huge thing. Like those were just or not TV shows. They were just movies, one after the other. It was all grand, like silver screen type stuff. And now there's like 80 different Marvel shows that you can watch. And I know that there's at least several Star Wars shows that you could try to watch as well. But I always find it a little bit harder to follow in the grand scheme of things if it's just TV shows, because if you miss one episode then you have to go back and watch that, but if you already skipped that, it's like kind of just
it's a lot harder for new
You're
people to get
doing too
involved.
too much in with too little.
Well,
I feel like
I guess that's kind of the give and take between Star Wars and Marvel, right? Where like Star Wars, I feel like on some level is still achievable if you wanted to watch everything, right?
yeah, Star Wars is a lot more
Which is
achievable
fair.
than Marvel.
And
Marvel at this
it's
point
still at a
is
point
what,
where it can
30
be
movies?
saved.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That too. I was gonna say that.
Marvel is
There's-
kind of at the point where you can't really save that, especially if they just
It's
came out
so
with
hard to save it.
they're coming out with or they did or have come out with Echo, which is another one. I haven't even fucking heard of this.
like
I
another
have zero
superhero.
clue. I
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Marvel
yeah.
really is doing way too
It-
much.
it's going too in detail of the comic books, and
Like
it's not necessarily even following the comic books for the most part as well.
But
I miss them just putting out like 6 origin stories. Like just give me 6 amazing origin stories and
And then
have
merge
them come together, merge them, and have them culminate to where whatever you want to do with them. You got to have some sort of flow. And like I said,
They're
Star
missing
Wars
that
can
flow.
still be saved. And I think they're going to trend in that direction. We're seeing it. They're taking my advice on this one at least, and they're making Mando season 4 into the movie. This is going to be a movie that leads into it's going to lead into the Ahsoka season 2, which will probably be next year because that's filming right now. And then the culmination movie of Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and what was there? Oh, it was gonna be the
There's still Acolyte and Skeleton Crew as well.
Acolyte's High Republic.
Fair. So then Skeleton Crew.
So Skeleton Crew, I think we're supposed to get that this year. So that'll be a culmination of after season 1 of that, the Mandalorian movie and Ahsoka season 2. There's supposed to be a movie at the end of that, directed by Dave Filoni, to end that storyline. So I'm really hoping that, they've got movies set up, which is great. I think Skeleton Crew, if it's not if it's not a movie, edit it into a movie, to be honest, at this point. Edit it down, take out all the filler stuff, and give us a 2.5-hour movie.
Fair. I mean, I've always felt, and I've been pushed back on this before. I don't think by you, Connor, but just in general. I've always felt that Star Wars works better as movies.
I agree with you.
The
I like
production
the
value you
idea-
get with a movie is so much higher.
Well, I like the idea of doing TV shows for stuff like Andor, which is so different. But I feel like the format of it and the storytelling that works within Star Wars is done so much better in either 20 episode, 20 season fucking TV shows or a high production value movie.
I agree.
I completely agree. I mean, you see it within the movies and the shows, the disparity between the two already. In the movies, well, now not so much as the prequels. The prequels had a lot of CGI characters in the background, like a lot of aliens. Whereas, like, you'll see in the shows and such now, they don't typically do that because they use live action actors and they don't want to do all the makeup or the transformation stuff or pay to have that done. So they just don't do it and everybody ends up being a human. Like, I don't know about you, but a galaxy far, far away where everybody's kind of intermingled doesn't seem like it'd be a human-dominated situation.
No.
I mean, for me at least, I care less about that and more about the story that's put out. If we got consistent great storytelling, then I'd probably be a little bit more critical of like the smaller production notes like that. But for the most part, I don't know. I don't mind it so much, but I can see your point definitely. You know, it's supposed to feel like a different galaxy, and it doesn't always.
Well, enough about Star Wars, boys. Let's talk gaming. Let's talk the state of gaming. I got Ian's take on this during our New Year's Eve episode, and as well as did we go into that last episode at all?
In part, yeah. We've done a couple, you and I, back and forth things about gaming at this point.
Well, we haven't done anything with Matt and Josh yet, so I want to get their take. Matt, I know that you've been sitting on some stuff. You've been gathering some notes, so I'll hand you the floor and give us your state of the gaming address.
So, in my personal and own opinion, based off the games that I play most commonly and the type of gaming that I do, this past year has been one of the worst gaming years in my entire life, I think. I don't know, outside of sports games, right? Like MLB, Madden, like all those.
Yeah.
Those are the typical games. I'm going to get them every single year. It doesn't matter. I end up getting them at some point. Outside of that, right? I think, and I know Elden Ring came out years ago, but I played that game all through this year, and I think the new Spider-Man. And those were the only two, like, out of the, like, ordinary for me games that I, like, fully was able to sit through and play. I've played other games, but I haven't been able to just either sit and want to play them or sit and have been able to finish them, if that makes sense. And, like, obviously, yes, you get, like, little fun games that have come out, like Lethal Company and, like, Tarkov's another one that I've been playing, but I haven't really got into that at all yet. But for me personally, like, the nights that I've been home and I've been, like, just sitting in a Discord call with my friends and I'm just, like, watching them play the games that they're playing and me just sitting there going, like, I just have nothing to play. I don't want to play anything. I don't have a desire to play anything. So for me, the last year, there was nothing that got released that caught my eye enough. to where I'd want to continuously play it and like push through and finish the game. But that's just me.
No,
get
that's
that.
fair. I feel like kind of Lethal Company is kind of a good thing to bring up because I feel like a lot of the AAA games this year, like you said, either flopped, were non-existent, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But Lethal Company, I guess, had that kind of. I don't want to call it luck because it.
I would call it luck. Part of it is definitely luck.
Well, sure, yeah, because it started circulating on social media and it started doing that whole thing, which I can only imagine what the sales numbers were once the first couple TikToks went around, right?
Yeah.
Like it probably went from a group of like 100 guys
Exactly.
to
Yeah,
a couple
because I saw
thousand.
it. I don't even know. I don't even know if I saw it or I think I saw it on TikTok. And then I looked in, or however I ended up having it, but it was like this cool concept of a small, like fun game to play with your friends, and the fact that there's mods now to it it's been a lot of fun playing Lethal Company with the amount of expansion that you can do with it, and the amount of like not the amount of, but like the less restrictions you have on what you can and can't do. To me, that's what makes a game more fun, rather than, and I'll use going back to Call of Duty, where you have to sit and play for hours and hours and hours, sometimes days on end, to get certain things in the game, to have access to be able to use them and have the fun that I guess you'd want to have on a certain game. So like Lethal Company's been a breath of fresh air towards the end of the year because it's just a new thing that came out that everybody kind of, it's kind of like Among Us, right? How Among Us in what, 2020
I
right?
think
Somewhere
2020,
around
yeah.
was the year, right, where it kind of popped off because everybody just found it, some small game you could play with a bunch of your friends, and it kind of just took off from there. So in all, I guess the gear itself wasn't my favorite, but there have been some bright spots that have come from it.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if it's because a lot of the AAA companies are still working on their new titles. You know, Matt, you, me, and Connor have talked about GTA 6 kind of at length at this point.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really the first game that we've gotten from Rockstar since Red Dead 2, and before that it was GTA 5. But you know, you have EA, who typically puts things behind paywalls, so their numbers are decreasing. You have Activision, Infinity Ward, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They're them.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to put it.
It's a
Honestly,
perfect way to
Perfect.
Well,
They're them. They're
yeah,
just
because like, I don't want to
at this
keep
point.
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse because I feel like we keep saying it, but like the Call of Duties of the world are just
They're
Get
dead.
fucked,
In all
Colin.
honesty, they're just dead, I think.
I think it's the same thing with Battlefield as well. There's no real game like that that's gonna entertain people anymore. Of kind of that arena shooter style game. This
I feel
just
like
kind of gets
that
repetitive too quickly.
Yeah. I think the way that Call of Duty is played with the, like you said, the arena shooter and stuff like that at this point is super repetitive, and I don't want this to come across wrong, but like for just a younger generation of Call of Duty players, I guess, kind of like how we were when like MW2 was going off and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like that type of thing. I don't know if we have the attention span or the care to just do the same thing over and over again.
No,
now anymore.
it's completely different. I would say like I know I came up later than MW2. I went back
Yeah, you're a little
way
younger.
past. Yeah, I definitely am younger than but I played Black Ops 2. That was my favorite COD out of any COD that I've played. I loved that. I used to be able to play that day in and day out, but now I can't even touch a COD realistically. I just it's not the same. It's too repetitive, and the choices that they've made have kind of been like making it worse as well.
Oh, we've gone on lengths
Yeah,
about how
I
trash
can
Call of
imagine
Duty
because
is.
it's like it's hard not to. Because
Like,
we
again,
love
I
those
actually
games.
started playing the other day, right? And I
Yeah.
went to go make a class. I just searched up on Google, like, what's the meta? I was gonna make up like a class
base
similar,
class.
like a class similar to that, because I have some of the guns leveled up from when I was playing the game on launch and everything. and I had to scroll for like 30 seconds again to like find the right grip or the right sight or the right muzzle or
Yeah.
like why is
Call
there
of Duty literally used to be-
116,000 things?
Bro, Call of Duty literally used to be that game that everybody, like, when it was coming out, you'd stay
It
up.
used
Like,
to be just a
again, it used to be,
fucking red dot.
we've said this before, but it wraps up how I feel, I guess, about gaming in 2023. To be completely honest with you, it's just it's there, but like I don't want to touch it. I guess you know what I mean. If that makes sense.
I have that feeling sometimes, but like I feel more so of I burn myself out because I know I play a lot more than everyone else here. Just off of like an hours base. So it's
He
harder
puts in
for
the
me
hours.
to. Yeah, I play whatever game I can realistically. There's not really any genre that I won't even give a shot. But I kind of agree with you, Matt, and I kind of disagree at points with a lot of the party games. And actually, go back to the AAA real quick. The issue is everyone's going for those AAA games. Everyone knows about those, so they play those, and the companies know they can do worse and worse quality every year. So it's getting to the point where it's just kind of overall shit to play, and it's boring. I know I don't want to touch a Battlefield. I know I don't want to play anything close to Battlefield, but I play, what was it? The Battle Bits like remastered.
Oh, the Battle Bit
Yeah,
remastered. Yeah.
I'll play that every so often. I can't even play 2042. I don't even have that installed, but I have Battle Bits installed right now.
Yeah, it's just
It's like, how are you going to let a game like that when you're that like?
fair.
It doesn't make sense to me.
That big of a company that
Well,
produces
again,
what
I
they
think it
produce.
goes back to the fact that we have been lining their pockets for so many years. They know we're going to buy the game.
Yeah.
And we still continue
They're
to do it.
We're gonna keep buying the game because we're hoping that they're gonna bring the nostalgia back. They hooked us at the beginning. They hooked us when we were all kids, and they've just slowly and carefully made their games less and less and less, but more and more and more expensive, and adding more complex things. Like, it makes you think that it's a new game, but it's not a new game. It's just a more complicated version of the last one. Like, I shouldn't have to win 3 times with a shotgun while killing 3 people with dragon's breath while sliding and going prone at the same time. Like, these challenges are fucking ridiculous.
Well, I think, honestly, the easiest thing they could do to fix it is kind of take the Rockstar model. You know, I'm not saying take 15 years for Call of Duty to come out, but, take 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Them beating the dead horse over and over again and posting the same game essentially. Like, I don't notice a difference between 2 and 3.
Nope. New coat of paint.
No,
That's what we've always said.
It's just the maps, the UIs.
They finally
maybe
gave us the
better.
maps that we wanted at launch of MW2.
Yeah, that's the only good part about 3 is they gave us maps. But they didn't even add any new maps. They just
some
have the
DLC.
old maps.
They
like,
literally
it's
just
just-
gave you
it's
the
a-
ones that we wanted off launch.
Yeah, like it's kind of AAA is just not the way to go with gaming anymore. And I've noticed that more and more. If you are an older audience, younger people I know,
They just like the free to play because they don't got to pay for shit and they can spend
Yes.
money on microtransactions.
yes, that
Realistically,
but, like,
spending way more than they would have spent on just a normal game.
I 100% agree. I am one person to diss any kind of skin buying in any game of that sorts.
Oh, but I buy
don't do
all
that.
of them.
I know you are one of the.
I'm a skin
You're an
whore.
issue.
I'm
You're
a
an
skin
issue,
whore.
Connor.
You're
I
an
am.
issue.
We
Well-
love you, but it's true.
Well,
I think-
it's just funny, right? Because like Connor, like Connor will dish on Call of Duty all day. Did he buy the premium expansion and get all the
Exactly.
Damn,
fancy stuff
Skippy,
launch?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say I wasn't gonna get COD? Sure, my buddy bought me COD. So like,
Connor bought me
I
COD.
feel like
so-
I feel like it just ends up in your like game library at the end of the year or something like that. Like at some point,
Hey,
it's
man.
always there.
Because at some point, it's always fun to go back and play the private game modes like Mike Myers or Cops and Robbers or Border Patrol or...
I haven't done that in forever though.
Fucking me and my buddies
Me
have been
either,
playing,
but we need to.
We should.
Me and my buddies have been playing Snipers and Knives on Rust, and it's been like the best Call of Duty experience that I've had in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that
Or
type
at
of
least
stuff.
since COVID.
Yeah. I think we probably should start doing that more often, and that's what you're going to need to do with COD.
That's the only way I'm going to be
You're
able to
gonna
get
have to
content
make
out
your
of
own.
that.
COD has become a make your own fun type of game.
Yeah, it's kind of just it's
No,
a party game
really,
now.
with like class customization and stuff. Like, I guess if you're into it and want to play, like, I just don't have a desire to play Call of Duty.
That's fair.
Like, if you're into it and you're playing it, like, you genuinely have to, like, it's not just a default gun that's really good anymore. It's what's the class? How can I make it more fun? Whether I do akimbo, dual wield, whatever it is, right? You have to make your own fun in the game. So I guess it's kind of cool, but
And
like
that's where most like multiplayer and most like PvP is at. Is they're like kind of make your own fun. I feel like for the most part, there's not a lot of here's this is fun. This part of this game is fun. Like I went back to Valorant when it just launched the one of the updates recently. I think the 10th or 9th. And they brought in a double barrel slug shotgun. I was like, okay, this sounds like it'd be a fun gun. It's not. The game's not
It's
fun.
not.
The game's not fun to play. There's nothing to do. I was like, what character can I play in this game that's like more gimmicky and more fun? None of them. There's not a single one that's like good.
Yeah, it blows my
and
mind,
fun more or less. Like it's more fun. There's
Well-
nothing fun about their games. It's competitive.
Yeah, and I think that this kind of just goes to further kind of cement that point is we've given on this podcast with Matt Call of Duty a lot of shit for how short the new campaign is, right?
That
But
as well.
I just went back recently and I got the original MW2 and I played through the campaign beginning to end. I beat it in 4.4 hours. Right? That's not a long campaign. By even by Call of Duty standards, but
No, not
it's
really.
No, but the
still
quality.
Well,
It's the
yeah.
quality.
That's what I was gonna say. Like it still leaps and bounds. It's better storytelling. It's better. It's better everything. And
I
it's
felt
what,
nothing
fucking
playing 3.
12 years old.
Yeah, I felt nothing playing 3. I kind of felt something playing 2, but like 2019 was the last decent campaign that I was like, damn, this was fucking good.
Nah,
I love-
Ghosts.
I don't even know. I don't even know what the last. I don't even think I could tell you what the last Call of Duty campaign I played was.
Call of Duty Ghost was the last campaign I truly loved.
That
I
game.
think same for me too. Honestly,
Ghost was phenomenal. I think it has the best campaign
It's
out of
easily
any
one of
game.
the best campaigns.
If you
back and
go
play
and
Ghost.
look at it like without a nostalgic point of view, I know that I have Sergeant Soap based off of the Modern Warfare series. I love Soap. I
Fair.
cried when the first one and when he died in the first 3. Like I legitimately was crying at that
I mean,
point
that's
in time.
fair.
I was
That's
attached
fair,
to that
dude.
character. I was attached to him, and they.
I don't
took him,
feel attached
and-
to any character whatsoever at this point.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm
Especially
like,
Call of
they're
Duty.
using the same ones over and over again, and any new ones, I feel no attachment to. It's kind of also diluted my opinion on the older ones. It makes me not enjoy them as much because they're still using them. Leave
Yeah,
them
they've
gone,
destroyed the characters.
move on. Yeah,
Well,
but other than AAA, I think 2023 is phenomenal. Baldur's Gate, insanely good game.
Baldur's Gate was fantastic.
I think it's one of the best games launched since forever. I love Baldur's Gate.
I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna piss Connor off, and y'all are gonna get a kick out of this. I love Baldur's Gate. I love Baldur's Gate. I haven't actually gotten out of
yeah.
Act 1 on my own playthrough.
Yeah,
I've
you said
only-
that. Yeah.
I've only played bits and pieces of the game and beaten it in other people's campaigns.
That's completely
crazy.
fine. If that's how you want
That's
to play it,
fair. You know what? You should pick your own
I have
adventure, brother.
I had that exact same thing. I've only until this past 4 to 5 days got out of Act 2 with my save, my primary save, and I have a secondary save that was just behind that is now in Act 2. But I have like at one point I had close to 10 saves with different people.
Oh yeah.
I still loved every single second of it. I don't care like if it's I'm progressing the story or not. I'll play the same story and over again. It still feels different and refreshing. It's still fun to play, even if
Yeah.
I'm playing,
That's fair.
because I can play a different class every single time. I can play a different race every single time, or I can play the same goddamn exact thing over and over again and still have fun with it. It's just
It's a fantastic game, my
refreshing.
friends.
It is a fantastic game, and it's refreshing.
To this day, one of my favorite moments of 2023 has been watching all the Spider-Man kids freak out that Baldur's Gate beat it at the Game Awards.
I love that. That was fantastic.
I loved Spider-Man. I haven't actually played the newest one. I loved the first one. I haven't played Miles Morales, but I want to. But I've seen a lot on them, and I love them both, or I love all three of them. I think Baldur's Gate is still better than it.
Yeah,
Even
after
I mean,
playing
leaps and bounds.
Spider-Man. Well, yeah, after playing Spider-Man and then playing Baldur's Gate for the short while I did, I could tell why Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year. It made sense, right? Spider-Man is a simple story, right? Very good graphics, good storytelling, very like mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what went into Baldur's Gate to make that game possible is leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
I mean,
beyond anything that
crazy.
Spider-Man could have won. Yeah.
Talking about the gaming rewards, Valorant winning an award for esports is fucking ridiculous. In my opinion, I think that Valorant's esports is so trash, especially even like compared to its closest rival, CS. I think CS is 20 times better than Valorant.
Fair.
I don't think in an esports like
CS is also
view,
the original
it is.
esport.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think CS isn't even the best esport. I don't even think my favorite game, like I love Rainbow
Have
Six
they
Siege.
fixed CS yet?
No.
I don't think so, no.
With that hack.
That is a big problem that they need to get solved. They should have had that fixed like when it first came
ASAP.
out.
They should have taken it. They should have
That's
taken the
something
game
that you
down.
need to
But
get
it's like
rid of
honestly, it's like a
immediately.
company gets hacked, and then they're just like, yeah, "We'll get to it when we get to it." They're
Yeah,
just taking
like,
data like over and over and just taking.
it's actually kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty crazy.
I love Rainbow and I love Apex. I can't stand to play Rainbow myself anymore. I'll still watch its esports every once in a while, but I love Apex. I don't think Apex is the best esports. I think Rocket League is truly the best esports, and it actually is a proper esport. Like it's an electronic sport. You have to control every little detail. It's just like playing soccer, except you're not a fucking car and you're not having eggs as your fans. You know, that's the only difference. I think esports as a whole is great, but I don't think Valorant. I think that's a bad view that Valorant is the best esport or even the best esports event.
I'd like to see where esports events are going to keep going. They kind of blew
Well-
up for a second there.
I think it's gonna be really, really interesting because a lot of the and please, if any of y'all feel differently, let me know. I feel like a lot of the battle royale genre is finally starting to see its decline.
Thank
Right.
God.
I
I
see it.
like BRs. Don't get me wrong; they're fun
I
to
do.
play every now and then. But
I don't
like,
need every game having a BR mode.
That's what I'm
That's my
saying.
biggest thing.
Like that doesn't need to be a thing, right? You get Fortnite,
COD.
cool.
But then you
Fortnite's
get-
a good one.
but then again, the inverse of that, a game that doesn't put out a BR mode. Look at Halo.
It's dead now.
True.
Halo's dead. There's like 3 players still playing.
Well, there's other issues with Halo outside of the whole BR thing.
But the fact of the matter is that like they didn't do themselves any favors by not putting in a battle royale mode in a game that, quite frankly, the battle royale mode for that game would have broken
probably been nuts.
everything. It would have been absolutely insane. Think about, remember, Ian, you of course remember what we used to do on the old Halo games. Imagine we did that in an online setting.
So Matt and Josh, to give you guys a little bit of context for what Connor's referencing here, from the ages of probably 12 to 17, we wouldn't go home after school. We would go to our buddy Austin's house every day after school, sit in his room for like 6 hours and build the most ridiculous.
Not every
Halo
day. We had
Reach map.
baseball,
Well,
but
sorry. Yeah, y'all had baseball, but like when y'all weren't at baseball, the three of us were at his house building the most insane Halo Reach Forge maps and then beating the shit
bases,
out of each other.
ramps, fucking like aircraft carriers, you name it, we were building it.
Jeez.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
that
played
BR
the
mode would have been
shit
crazy.
out of those games.
If done properly, the BR mode definitely would have been.
It would.
At least it would have kept people from like to keep playing the Halo.
Yeah.
I feel like you said, nobody
It would
plays
still have a bigger player base if that was a thing, but
Well, that and the thing that made Halo so good and so popular, especially when it was more around, was it was the best couch co-op split screen game, right?
yeah.
So like you could do in-person multiplayer and it's a great time, but that genre, I don't want to call it a genre, but that type of game doesn't exist anymore because no one couch games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different style of gaming from back when COD and Halo were the two prominent games. Those were the two fighting for what's better. It's just different now. It's more competitive in a sense, and even if it's not competitive, it's a different style. I don't see any shooter multiplayer like party games that are around. It's all Among Us, Lethal Company, Uno, like stuff like that. Just stuff that isn't I want to shoot at things kind of style.
Honestly, you know what game recently has come back into my life, modded but still come back into my life that I've been so happy about? Minecraft.
Modded Minecraft is a lot of fun.
Modded Minecraft is still something. I think Minecraft itself is kind of boring to play, but modded Minecraft is phenomenal. No matter what point and where you are in like your gaming like career, air quotes career, like no matter where you are with playing video games, Minecraft is always going to be a staple, I feel like. And you always could technically go back and play that. Even if you were playing it like because there's people who play it competitively like with speedrunning and all that. It's just
Yeah, it's just one of those games that especially like after work, I don't have to think about. I can just log on to. I can just fucking go to town and just not have a care in the world. But no, I don't know. I feel like the next AAA game that I'm personally am going to buy is going to be GTA 6 in 2046 when it comes out.
when we're 60.
Why you like this? It's coming out 2025. And
Yeah.
we're
For
all
you.
going to be
On
playing it.
console.
For you.
Yeah. Local LAN party GTA 6 session.
Oh,
Yeah, Maddie, we're all gonna come over and just
Jesus.
watch you play GTA.
But no, you guys
I'm
can
gonna
play
sit
too.
there
I'll
and
let you guys
drool.
first. You guys can play first.
Oh,
I really
wow.
can't believe they're
How
not
about
in
that?
it.
What a guy!
Thanks.
what a
What a
host.
guy.
Dude.
Listen,
Absolute
that game
G.
is going to be great.
Well,
I mean, it probably would be more entertaining than playing COD. So
True.
Especially on
There's
that new
that.
engine.
yeah, I think that overall gaming is just different from how we used to see it, and it's not gonna ever go back to that because of esports. But I feel like that's also a good thing in a sense. At times, not everything needs to be competitive, but everything gets made competitive, which is an issue. But also some things do need to be competitive to live. Like, there's not a chance that some games are going to be played if they're not played competitively. I see nobody playing Apex, Valorant, CS if it's not in a competitive kind of style. You want to play those games to get better. And I think that's a good thing for the most part.
I'd have to agree,
Yeah.
But anybody got any closing final thoughts?
2023 for gaming was not as bad as Matt is saying it, but it's also not as good as 2020.
A scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it like for me, probably like a 4 out of 10.
I'd give it close to 6 or 7.
Probably be around a 4.5, 5.
I'm probably sitting dead even at a 5. I've played enough semi decent games this year that I can kind of forgive it, but the AAA games mucho disappointing.
Just a mid-year in gaming, I think. I wouldn't say bad, but I'd just say mid.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because you had like Call of Duty, sure, of course, right? But then you also had like Hogwarts Legacy and Jedi Survivor kind of interlaced throughout there.
Mhm.
I
And so,
think
like,
that is the biggest thing, is that when the games that came out and like the good ones were all single player. That's kind of the major issue, air quotes issue. If you're a single player only, that's phenomenal for you. But not everybody's a single player. They like to play with multiple people. They like to play with their friends.
yeah.
I think that's the primary issue that people have on 2023's year of gaming, is it's all single player. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing good with that as well.
That's totally fair. I think that with that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Roll for Dex podcast. As always, my name is Connor.
My name is Ian.
And thank you to our guests, Matt and Josh, this week.
Thanks, guys, for having me back.
Thank you for having me for the first time.
And of course, but I do have to say,
I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
and that's what I'm going to leave it at for Star Wars.